We would like to respond to the letter that we have received today. Actually, it is addressed to Mr. Nkonge Moses Kibalama and Simbwa Paul Kagombe, members of National Unity Platform, in regards to the returns that were filed on the 27th of May 2022, where Electoral Commission disputes the legality and procedures which we followed to hold the delegates conference, because it is a decision mandated in the Constitution to always have elections after every 2 years. And everything that was required was followed, but to our surprise, Electoral Commission has addressed and denied the opportunity of the decision of the delegates to have the leadership changed, and they still appreciate to refer to the expired leadership as the legitimate leadership. However, as people who have been written to, we believe it is not in the mandate of Electoral Commission to decide who heads the party and which period somebody is supposed to run the leadership for. So in this regard, we are also penning down in response to this letter, because we really need to task Electoral Commission to do a number of things, among which include to come out with the registered constitution of the party, which was registered in 2012, because as NUP leadership, we have never had an amendment in our party constitution. Secondly, when we looked at the letter that they appended or attached a list of leadership, this leadership was never filed in Electoral Commission on the 20th of July 2020, because to my understanding, it is me who filed the results of the delegates conference, which was held at Kachiri, and the minutes stipulate clearly that only 7 positions which were critical were the ones that were filled at that delegates conference, as you might look at this, and this is the list which we submitted to Electoral Commission. But it is so surprising at this moment to find that on the very day when this list was submitted, there is a list of 43 leaders. To my surprise, a one called the Mufumbiro, Mufumbiro Waiswa, who hasn't even been in the leadership of National Unity Platform, is also embedded and included in the list which was filed in 2020. These discrepancies are the ones now we need to really look into, and we request and ask the regulator to really look into the file. Actually, among the things that we see, the documents seem to have been, the files seem to have been tampered with, because I will recall sometime in 2020, I raised an issue with the Electoral Commission after realizing the constitution that was being supplied and used in the public domain. It is on record. I asked them which constitution they are using, and to my surprise, I was told that the file was stolen from one of the Electoral Commission officials' vehicle, which really makes us wonder how official documents of the government are ferried in private vehicles, where they were taking the file, a single file of NUP. It is what really wonders all of us. And with this, as a leadership that came as a result of the delegates conference, which is an organ of the party, the highest decision-making organ of the party in charge of electing leadership, we are going to continue doing our work, and it should be those people who feel what we did was in discrepancy with the law that should find redress from wherever they feel they can get redressed. Because with the knowledge that we have, according to the Political Parties and Organizations Act, it isn't a mandate of Electoral Commission to decide who leads National Unity Platform. And the letter that I was addressed to, which I picked this morning, I saw it yesterday before even the people who were addressed the letters to had received them. So all these things are the things that we think need to be looked into, and the leadership that came as a result of the delegates conference must be allowed to participate as the legitimate leaders of the party, and we are going to keep functioning because we have the mandate from the delegates. It makes me wonder if it is the same delegates who sat in 2014, in 2020, on July 14th, which brought Kyagulanyi. It was not disputed, with the exception of 2 of the SEC members who took us to court, and the court judged that really events overtook everything because members of parliament had already been nominated, and there was no need to enforce the application that had been put, temporary injunction that has been asked by the applicants to have NUP activities halted. So with this regard, we are responding to Electoral Commission and strongly recommend that as a regulator, they respect the decision of the delegates. Sort of that, then they shall be acting outside the law, because theirs is to keep our records, not to decide for us who runs the party. And this is on record. We want to find out the constitution that they are using, because according to the party constitution registered in 2004, every 2 years there is supposed to be elections of leadership. So these things we are taking a letter in response to what Electoral Commission has given to us, and it is our obligation to respond to the regulator, and this is what we are working on. In the shortest possible time, the letter shall have reached Electoral Commission in response to this, because they have addressed this to us, and so it is our obligation to respond to the letter that we have received. And then business continues to run normally at our headquarters in Kabowa, because we have no problem after the delegates charging us with leadership. There's something small that I wanted to highlight about as well, because in 2020, when I was elected as Senior Administrative Secretary. Previously, I was the Secretary General of National Unity Platform. But when the Kyagulanyis and Lubongoyas came in, yes, it is true, we resigned these positions. I only resigned the position of Secretary General, and I was elected Senior Administrative Secretary, a position that I've been running up to when the delegates entrusted me to come back to the slot of Secretary General, which is heresy and doesn't have anything to do with someone saying that I resigned. Resigning Secretary Generalship to Senior Administrative Secretary, and then back to Secretary General, which I think that is the democracy that we want in the politics of political parties. And with the president of the party, Mr. Kibalama was in acting capacity of president. So when Mr. Kyagulanyi came, Kibalama never resigned from his vice presidentship, because he was the vice president of the party and in charge of the leadership of the party. The vice president of National Unity Platform is supposed to be one, not as is seen today under Mr. Kyagulanyi's constitution made from his home. Okay? It should be known clearly that the vice president is in charge of all political party leadership according to our constitution. So the vice president was Mr. Moses Kibalama, and as well as the chairman of the Central Executive Committee, which is charged with the responsibility of convening the delegates conference. And we did everything we did in accordance with our party constitution, which we believe our members, as members of NUP, they need to embrace our constitution. And if we have to do an amendment, it is a full article in the constitution which requires people to read and see how a constitution is amended. A constitution is not amended from the secretariat. Amendments are supposed to come from the constituency to the district level, and then they come up to the Central Executive Committee through the commission that could have been set there. Amendments are not done from the office of the Secretary General. So we want to distance ourselves from the constitution that our colleagues seem to be purporting to be using. And whoever wants to see the original constitution of the party, which has all the features of originality since 2004, they should come to the party headquarters in Kabowa and get to see the party constitution, get to read it, get to understand it, get to internalize it, and memorize some articles for the good of the party. I think that is very good.